Okay, so let's get started by learning more about the brand new code interpreter feature in ChatGPT. Like most of the beta features, and it currently is a beta feature, you have to start by enabling it, by turning it on in your settings. Currently, if I go to my ChatGPT, it is turned on. If I go to GPT-4, I'll see code interpreter here, but the odds are that you won't see that because you have to enable it. So if you go down to the settings icon or the settings button here, or I guess the triple dots, and then go to settings, go to beta features. Just like we turned on plugins, we can turn on code interpreter. Now this is limited only currently to ChatGPT Plus users who subscribe. So I will toggle that on. It was already on, but just to show you that. And now you should have access to the code interpreter under GPT-4 if you subscribe to ChatGPT Plus. Okay, so I've started a new code interpreter chat. And let's talk about what it is. What exactly is this new feature? So ChatGPT for a long time has been able to write code for you, and you can then copy that code and run it yourself locally on your machine. With the new code interpreter, it can run a specific subset of code directly within your chat session and show you the output. So specifically, it only works with Python at the moment. And then even within Python, there's certain things that it won't do. But let's start by just asking it, can you explain what the ChatGPT code interpreter does? Or how it works. So it says, in this platform, OpenAI has paired the language model with a Python execution environment. When you provide a piece of Python code, the language model sends that code to the Python environment to be executed. The actual execution is done by the Python interpreter, and the result is then returned to you, which displays it to you. Again, this only works with Python. So if you don't know Python, it's still not the end of the road because there's a lot you can ask it to do without even understanding code. But we can do something super simple like, what is the result of the following Python code? And then I'll just do some simple Python code in here. Okay, like I said, extremely simple. It doesn't matter if you don't know how to code. But I'm giving it what's called a variable set to I love apples. Apple are my favorite fruit. And then I'm asking it to, I'll just do it like this, count how many times apple occurs. This is specific Python code. And it will execute my code. It gives me an explanation here. And it says, in this case, apple appears twice in that string, which is correct. That's what we would get back if we ran this ourselves, and we wouldn't get a paragraph explaining it. We would just get the number 2. But normally, if we provide Python code to ChatGPT, it might be able to, in a simple case, figure out what it does, but it's not actually going to run it itself. It won't truly evaluate the Python code. It might be able to guess what it does. It can write us code, but it can't run it. So let me show you another example. Something a lot of people use Python for is data analysis and data visualization. So in the next video, we'll actually use an example data set. We'll upload some information and ask ChatGPT to generate us all sorts of charts and scatter plots and things like that. But let's start with a super simple diagram or plot. I'll ask it to generate me a plot of the, what should we do? I don't know, x squared. I want to see just an exponential graph. And here we are. Here's a plot of the function y equals x squared. The x values range from -10 to 10. The plot is a parabola, right? So we start at 0, and then as x goes up, of course, this goes up exponentially. Y goes up exponentially. So if we look at what it actually did, we can click on Show Work. And this shows us the underlying Python code. So if you are a developer, you want to tweak something, you can take this code, try changing it yourself. Try doing it locally in a notebook or in just your text editor and execute it as Python. If you're not a developer, you can still look at the code and try and understand what's happening. And then I can ask it to do things like only start with a positive value for x. So how about remake the graph, but limit the x-axis to go from 0 to, I don't know, 7. We'll just be very specific. And now it's not just going to show me a new image. It actually writes the code. It's Python code. Then it evaluates the Python code. It actually executes it. Then it shows me, it renders the result. and now it only goes from 0 to 7, and we can see our work here. It's using something called NumPy. Again, not a big deal if you're not familiar with Python, but it's using Matplotlib and NumPy here. And then it generates me this, and I can ask it to change the label. So I can do whatever I want. I'll just end with one more example. Change the plot title to my first graph. And then it changes the code. And you can see right here, it sets the plot.title using the matplotlib method called title to my first graph. And now my graph has that title, my first graph. And there's tons of things I could ask it to do just with this one plot. I could have it change the color, change the line style, change the labels and the axes. Not to mention what I'll show you in the next video, where we can have it generate all sorts of plots and data analysis on a real world data set, not just y equals x squared. Anyway, this is our first example of something that we can only do within the code interpreter chat session. I could ask regular ChatGPT, write me the Python code to generate a graph showing y equals x squared. It will give me the code, and then I have to take it, copy it, run it on my machine locally. Here, it does it for me all behind the scenes. It writes the Python code, runs it, and then shows me the result.